We are here for week number 7 here at Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina. And for the news and notes, Kyrie Uthan ends a 6-year winless drought at Daytona after holding off a charge from Casey Lester in one overtime period to grab her first victory of the season and also her third career victory. This race is also the second of the South Carolina Part-Timers Challenge event, the first of which was the Dentsville 250, which was the season opening event. No South Carolina Part-Timers Challenge drivers had advanced through, so as a result, no bonus points were awarded to the Jacksonville Challengers, as their official point standings will be posted in the forum link. As this is also a little note that's really not mentioned on there, as this is actually the first race with the new groups, as these groups will actually stand until race number 10, which is at Boston. So this will be how the groups will be for Darlington, Indianapolis, Edmonton, Atlanta, and also Boston. So beginning with race number 11, the third group of how they'll line up will be set after the conclusion at Boston. And now for the race winners from this past week. The Lowe's Modified Tours head to Rockford, Illinois, where Brianna Brake took on a very easy victory. The Freightliner All-Americans took on 2 overtime periods, with Nick Wilson taking the victory in 2 overtime periods. The race would have actually ended in just only 1 overtime period. However, as Wilson was taking the white flag, another caution came out just as he was approaching the start-finish line to take the white flag. At Greenville's Pickens, Keith Jesse won the Kellogg Southeast Division race after what was basically a crash fest in about the first 50 laps of the event. And then in the Gatorade Series, Ryder Anderson had passed Preston Bell on the final lap to take the victory at Darlington. The Darlington Raceway is a 1.3 mile oval racing. We're going to be racing for 192 laps. As the last time the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series hit the track here, Shane Clark III pulled an upset victory after passing Evan Brooks on the final lap. Our Aflac pullover winner here is Casey Littinger, car number 5, as Scott Johnson, car number 58, is on the outside, the only one of the Monster Energy racing cars to have a struggling season. Some of these cars took very good qualifying efforts. Shane Kinston making his first start of the year starts 5th. Chris Devon in the 06 starts 7th. Tobias Newbridge starts 11th in the car number 96. Travis Johnson, car number 14, starts in 12th. Evan Brooks also making his first start of the year in car number 95. Brooks almost won this race last year. As we go down through the order, there you see Shane Harden, your points leader going in this week, starts 25th. His points rival CJ Gordon starts 23rd. Mike Hogan, car number 17, will start 35th in this event. And the last cars starting in the field, Ike Jace Jr., your third place man in points, starts 41st. Sean McDowell starts in 42nd. Unfortunately, our broadcast came in a little bit late due to a program that ran over its time. As a result, we missed the first few laps of action. There was the first caution that came out on lap 1. Chandler Blake, Sean McDowell, Scott Howard, Stephen Volk, and Alan Kimmel were all involved in accidents on that lap and all dropped out as a result. We will pick up the coverage on lap number 10 of 192. So after the ensuing restarts that happened, Shane Nargan in car number 32 had been leading Ethan Littinger, the 51. Third place was Mike Hogan in car number 17. Hogan, who had that disappointing day at Daytona, while Nargan in general has had a disappointing season. Nargan, which everybody thought was going to be a favorite for the championship contention, however, Nargan has never really been there. His teammate Ethan Littinger has actually kind of been close, having 2 straight top 10 finishes dating back to Vegas. Here's Chris Devon, car number 06. Devon's, I believe, running in the 8th spot, while Shane Kinston, the car number 21, that kind of maroon and white number 21, has fallen back a little bit. Kinston was, I believe, running in 11th before he fell back. Brian Dawson, car number 64, also not having a good season, and they nearly make contact there. Scott Harper, car number 6, goes to the bottom. Harper, who nearly won the race at Darlington at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. Scott Johnson, Casey Littinger, they'll make contact. Looks like the 5 of Littinger goes into the wall as Casey Littinger. This does not bring out a yellow flag, despite Littinger and the 5 spinning down on the apron. However, Justin Clingston spinning down the back straightaway. That would bring out our second caution of the day on lap number 30, as we had quite a long green flag right near contact between Chris Devon in car number 06 and Tobias Newbridge in car number 96. They barely make it through. Shane Bliss would also barely make it through. Shane Harden, car number 32, led on the restart. Shane Harden, car number 59 is in second. Mike Hogan, car number 17 is in third. Harden, who already has victory here at Darlington, that one in 2011, where he passed James Wilson Jr. on the final lap. As there you see, it appears that the first 5 cars in single file line, that's being Kierland and Littinger in the 51 also. Hardin in the 59 is going to make a move to the bottom, try to charge down to the bottom, and it appears that looks like Hardin will easily take the lead away from car number 59, Shane Hardin. Hardin wants to try and make a feat that's not happened. However, there's caution lights, and that's because of our third caution of the day. George Davidson, car number 37, runs in the back of Eddie Johnson, Jamie Scotty, Cameron Brooks, and Travis Johnson, I believe, got a piece. Scotty in the 9 gets heavy damage on that number 9, and Scotty would, I believe, drop out of the race because of that. Ethan Linder, car number 51, led on the restart. Here, Ethan Linder, who is seeking his 3rd straight top 10 finish after starting the season with 2 finishes below 35th. He finished 36th in Atlantic City and 40th at Chicago. However, he was swept up in accidents in both of those races. However, since then, he has wielded off 2 top 10 finishes in a row. A 2nd place in Vegas, which he could have won that race, and Daytona, which he was basically in contention for the entire event. However, he has Jaden Honore and Shane Hardin bogging him down. There you see CJ going to the 48 around, and that's actually going to be where our next caution is, as we have the race coming back to the line. Looks like Gordon in the 46, he gets into makes contact between, looks like Max Rapon, Thomas Lawyers, Brian Kittleson, Eddie Johns gets into the 77, that gets the 77 on his side, as looks like the 55 is smoking away, as we have another restart. That's Chris Devon in car number 06. Yes, Chris Devon in car number 06 is leading here, as Ethan Linder's the 2nd. However, Jay Adenori in car number 01 is immediately going to make a challenge under the bottom and get 2nd spot away. Tobias Newbridge in car number 96. Newbridge is, I believe, running in 20th. He's a couple laps down after a promising start, as Honore in the 01's already going to try to make a challenge under the 96. However, that's not going to be there. Newbridge in the 96 has done fairly quite well. He's actually qualified for a few races. However, he's not really qualified for the past 2. It's his first start since, I believe, Chicago, where he basically crashed out of that race. As Newbridge gets back by the 06, and I believe that puts him back just 1 lap down for car number 96. However, Jay Adenori is going to put that 96 car back 2 laps down, as Shane Hardin in the car number 59 will also follow suit. Logan Chin in car number 72 will also do so as well. There you see the 01 and Honore. Honore holding the bottom. Hardin also there. Honore would eventually fall back and would get involved and cause another caution. Scott Harper in the 6, Mike Hogan in the 17, Honore's teammate Jason Calasso, Casey Lester would also be in there, Casey Linger. There you see Brandon Green's also in there. So just like what happened last week, there you see the 17 of Mike Hogan. Hogan would just have nowhere to go and would get hit by Jason Calasso in car number 04. However, that was not really the only shenanigans. As you see, 17 just blows up. However, that would actually get away. Max Rapon would dump Casey Lester for no apparent reason, as Lester, who is that Jack Daniels number 12 car, sponsoring Jack Daniels being a primary sponsor for Berry Juke, been one of Lester's clients. Casey Lester, Shane Hardin, car number 59 would lead on this restart. Mark Mongillo in car number 20 sits in 2nd. Mongillo's had a decent year in car number 20 so far, as he has just basically been running. Right now, I believe going into this weekend, he sits 12th in points going into this weekend, so fairly decent start of the season for car number 20. Hardin at the 59, meanwhile, just gets a sizable gap over that 20 car, as there you see Logan Chen in the 72 is going to try to find a line. It looks like that 72 is going to appear to try to get a line somewhere set up, as Hardin in the 59, who has already won a race so far this season, as that was at Vegas, where he's going to try to pull away. We would have another caution lap 58. Thomas Lawyers would get into the wall and nearly get Tobias Newbridge. CJ Gordon in the 48 almost collected in that. But Cameron Brooks and Jay Honore and Evan Brooks also get involved, and nowhere to go for the 16 and the 33, as the 16 Lawyers came down the track and got Evan Brooks. Scott Johnson, car number 58, lead on this restart. Scott Johnson's practically struggled basically throughout the season so far, as he's the only Monster Energy racing car to be below the top 37 in points, as Hardin, Youthin, and Eddie Johns are all sitting in the top 10. Chris Clark in the 56 going into this weekend was barely outside the top 10, while Scott Johnson's just basically been nowhere. As Johnson's DNQ at Dentonville basically got that season basically to a bad start, although a 2nd place finish at Chicagoland was pretty much his only highlight. However, so far here leading at Darlington, if he can hang on and get the win here, it might be another highlight for car number 58 of Scott Johnson, and maybe some rejuvenation for that 58 team. There you see Shane Hardin, 59, Johnson's teammate sits there in second. Ethan Littinger is, I believe, challenging for third under that 64, Brian Dawson. Dawson, who has been practically quiet all this year, has not really been doing well. Shane Harden, the 59, is going to try to go for the lead. However, it appears that that 58 car has the run on the outside. No, it appears Harden's going to get by real easy. As you see, the 51 of Ethan Littinger and Shane Harden at 32. Littinger going to try to go to the bottom, as Littinger will appear to go and try to get that second spot away from car number 58. Johnson nearly clips the wall there, as looks like Ethan Littinger, Shane Nargan, and Jake Killen will all go by. Nargan, I believe, hit the back of that 58 car. 3 wide at Darlington doesn't really work, and I think Shane Norgan, Justin Kingston, and Mark Mungilla explain why on that caution in lap 71. Nobody else would hit neither of those two cars, although Jake Hinson into the back of the 20, and TJ Gordon into the back of the 24, so a hard crash from Mark Mungilla. Mark Mungilla was able to climb out of the car under his own power. Harden in the 59 would lead on this restart. Walter Youth in the 8, who was, I believe, a lap down, would get by Jake Kierland, and Youthen would actually just jump right off the gun. Youthen was running a lap down, as I mentioned. Ike J. Jr. is in second. Jake Kierland's, I believe, the actual car is sitting in third. Actually in second, and it's now Scott Johnson, I believe, just got by him for third. There you see, it looks like Harden in the 59's trying to get on the line, but looks like Walter Youthen and Carter 8 still hanging on behind that 59 Harden, as Youthen will try to get some track position. Youthen to the bottom of the racetrack, as this is going to force Harden high. Harden gets into the wall a little bit right there, and that's going to get Walter Youthen in the 8 clear of the racetrack. Walter Youthen, who's had that one win so far this year, as Harden gets into the wall, as Youthen, who has just one win so far this year. Scott Johnson, the 58, meanwhile, takes the lead away from Harden. As a result of that, Harden would eventually fall back to third and would try to rally. There you see Nargan gets into the wall. Harden would get by second there. As he tries to go by that lap car Max Rapon, he would get in there a little bit too aggressively and would put himself into the wall. As this would send both cars down the track. That would send a caution on lap 129. Justin Kingston almost hits both the 59 and the 77. As Scott Johnson, the 58, would get a really good restart, as basically because the 42 was ridiculously slow. Johnson in the 52 would get a really good restart, as there you see Chris Devon in the 06, who was, I believe, running just 1 or 2 laps down, would get by that 42 car, as it appears that Nargan in 32 is actually the car in second, as it looks like 58 Johnson handling around that corner, as Johnson has a pretty sizable lead over the rest of the field, as Nargan would eventually catch up to that 58, and we would have a very good battle for lead. Nargan in 32 would try to peek to the bottom of the racetrack. Johnson gets to the wall. Nargan makes contact there, and I believe that's the second time tonight that's happened. Nargan, meanwhile, gets back in the lead, as Nargan wants redemption from last year's race, as Nargan dominated last year's race, however, fell short in overtime. Nargan's going to run high, and that means Scott Johnson's going to go for the lead. There you see Casey Lester in car number 12, Nargan's teammate. Nargan, it looks like he keeps the lead there, but Casey Lester in the 12. Lester's going to try to go high. Nargan was running high as well, and I believe that's going to hold the 32 and the 58 up a little bit, as Johnson could have taken advantage there, but somehow just didn't really do it, as he didn't really want to put himself in trouble. Lester gracefully hits the wall for his teammates, as there you see Scott Johnson. Shane Harden in the 59, meanwhile, would end up closing the gap on them, as about a few moments later, as there you see Nargan still leads, as Harden would eventually get by. There you see Nargan. Nargan gets into the wall again. Scott Johnson would get by, and then Shane Harden in the 59 would struggle to get by that 32 and Nargan would fall back a little bit, and Scott Johnson would eventually lose the lead to Harden, as there you see Harden tries to go to the bottom. Harden into the wall, as Harden's going to get by for the lead. Nargan in the 32 gets back for second. However, as Harden was pulled away, Johnson and Nargan make contact again, as we got just a huge contact for the 32 car, and that would basically just take Shane Nargan out of the race, as Nargan would be forced to pit due to damage. However, he was not the only Silver Green race car to be affected. Ethan Littinger had hit the wall several times and was also forced to pit. However, as a result of that, as we're going to see a little bit of a moment of a while, Shane Harden would expand to about a 6-second lead. However, that was nearly expired, as he almost makes contact with Shane Bliss and nearly takes himself out. However, Harden, as I mentioned, would have at least a 7-second gap. Nargan and Littinger would have really fast lap times, so actually faster than the leaders. However, due to the fact that these cars were both 2 laps down and were running basically 7th and 6th, they were basically at contention as a result. However, meanwhile, Shane Harden, whose handlings basically went away for practically the last several laps after Scott Johnson's went away, Harden almost nearly wrecked on the final lap. And there you see the white flag's already out. Harden will just let Jake Killen by. Killen's actually running in 3rd, by the way, so keep in mind about that, as Killen, it appears that 76 car will finish on the lead lap unless if Killen does something crazy. Harden into the wall again, however, I believe at this point he has about a 5-second gap, as Harden's going to round out turn number 3 and turn number 4. And Shane Harden, for the 2nd time this season, will win a race in 2015. And for the 2nd time in his career, Shane Harden will win here at Darlington. So Shane Harden scores his 2nd victory of the season here in 2015. Harden also gets his 2nd overall victory here at Darlington. And as of Monster Energy Racing, they have now won 8 of the last 10 races, with Harden being a major contributor to that. Out of those 8 wins, Harden has won 4 of those. Scott Johnson in car number 58 gets his second place finish of the season, and it also snaps, I believe, a 7-race streak on where the lap leader has won the lap leader ended up winning the race. The last time that the lap leader failed to win the race was all the way back in Talladega of 2014, when Eddie Johns took the checkered flag at Talladega. Jake Hill in car number 76 was able to hold off Harden to finish in 3rd for car number 76. Welch Ethan in car number 8 barely held on to finish 4th, as Ethan Littinger was just charging to that number 8 car in the closing stages of the races. However, Littinger did not have enough time to get by car number 8. As I mentioned, Littinger will finish in this race 5th. Shane Harden, car number 32, everybody thought he was going to be a contender towards the end of the race and try to challenge Johnson and Harden for the win. However, that damage that he sustained after multiple contacts with Scott Johnson, that basically took him out of the race. He was able to get a lap back and finish in 6th. Logan Chin, car number 72, a very good day for car number 72, but quiet one. He finishes 7th. Ronald Portland finishes 8th, 3 laps down, as he is going to finish 8th. He started 39th and climbed his way up, so a very quiet run for car number 31. Justin Kingston, despite being involved in that early accident, he comes back to finish in the 9th spot. And rounding out the top 10 is Ike J. Jr. in car number 09. He finishes 10th, 3 laps down. So Shane Harden extends the lead back after C.J. Gordon had a poor day. Ike J. Jr., who was a little bit far away going into the weekend, he gets the distance to 23 points going into Indianapolis. Harden has his 2nd win of the season. The points lead is increased to 23. IJ Jr. moves into 2nd in points. C.J. Gordon, after a dismal day in car number 48, drops to 3rd. Walter Youth in car number 8 is in 4th into the point standings. He gains 2 spots. Kyrie Youth drops 2 spots to 5th. Mike Hogan in car number 17 didn't really have a good day. He actually drops a spot to 6th. Jana Nori in car number 01 gains 3 spots to 7th. She is 69 points back of the points lead. Eddie Johns in car number 55, 70 points back. He loses a spot. A big winner of the top 10, as Ethan Littinger, car number 51, gains 15 spots to 9th. He is 72 points back in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is Casey Lester in car number 12, who gained 3 spots to 10th. And now let's take a look at 11 through 20. Chandler Blake drops out of the top 10, losing 3 spots and falls to 11th, 79 points back. Max Rapon in car number 77 gains 9 spots to 12th. So does Casey Hito in car number 19, 13th place driver in points, also gains 9 spots. Nick Dunnigan also drops out of the top 10 as he falls to 14th. He was 9th going into this weekend. Chris Clark also drops some spots. He falls to 15th in the point standings. Ronald Portland gains 18 spots, all the way up to 16th in the points. He is 93 points back in a 3-way tie between himself, Jason Calasso, and Scott Harper. As I believe, based on the tiebreakers, it actually is correct. Portland should be ahead of Calasso based on top 10 finishes, as Portland has 2 while Calasso and Harper have 1. Calasso is 17th in points for those tiebreakers, as I mentioned. And Scott Harper in car number 6 is in 18th in points. Chris Bell, 90th. has 94 points back. He lost 7 spots to 19th, and Mark Mongillo gains 10 spots to 20th to round out the top 20. So we had 8 cautions for 32 laps. Walter Uther was the hard charger. He gained 33 spots to finish in 4th. Scott Johnson is the first driver this year to lead the most laps and failed to win the race. We had 8 leaders for 18 lead changes, and the margin of victory was 4.28 seconds. So next week's events, the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series tackles the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the 2.5-mile oval, as the NOVAR Gatorade, GameStop Trucks, and the Razor Aero Series all tackle ORP. The Kellogg's Northeast Division tackles Ohio, the Southwest Division tackles Las Vegas, and the DHL European Tour is back in action at Rockingham in the UK. We'd like to congratulate Shane Harden on his 2nd victory of the season and his 2nd victory at Darlington, and we will see you at Indianapolis.